My name is Peter Swanson, and I'm the author of 8 Perfect Murders, now available in Portuguese from LANÇAMENTO. Came up with the idea for this book while I was out on a walk, which sounds a bit like a cliche, but it actually happened. I was walking around Walden Pond here in Massachusetts, where I live, and I was currently working on a short story at the time. I was trying to come up with a really clever murder idea for that story, so I was idly working up a list in my mind, trying to think of books I'd read with so-called perfect murders in them. And I had 2 thoughts right in a row. First was, what if someone published a list of the best fictional murders? And then my second thought was, what if someone else used that list to commit actual murders? That was at the beginning of the walk. By the end, I'd plotted this entire book. I knew that the writer of the list was an introverted mystery bookstore owner in Boston, and I knew that 4 years after he published this list on his blog, an FBI agent would come to his door, convinced that someone was using his list as a blueprint for a series of murders. And I knew who the killer was and why, and I knew how the book would end. This has never happened to me before, a book just landing wholesale in my lap. It was exciting, but also kind of daunting, because even though I knew all these things, still actually had to write it and put in all the details. As I was writing 8 Perfect Murders, I knew that the books and the reading really needed to be center stage in the book. Since I was referencing classic crime novels, mostly in the whodunit genre, I knew that in some ways my book needed to mimic some of these tropes of these novels. In some ways, this is my first novel that is a classic whodunit, and also because I was writing a book about books, I knew that the idea of reading would be very important. Still, I was a little surprised about how much the book turned out to be about the act of reading and how important that was in Malcolm Kershaw's life. At one point, I realized that all the books he thought about and loved were the same books I thought about and loved, and I tried to give him some independent reading habits. But in the end, I thought, screw it. As it turns out, Malcolm and I have the exact same reading habits and the same story of how we became obsessed with crime fiction as young readers. Which makes this an odd book because on one hand, it's my most autobiographical one, at least in terms of what Malcolm reads, and it's also definitely my book with the highest death count, which is always a good thing, I think. Thank you for your time, and I hope you choose to read it, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.